For the second half of our trip in Belize, we headed up the Hummingbird Highway from Hopkins fishing village into the center of the country, into the jungle. On our way, we stopped at the Blue Hole National Park and we checked out the Blue Hole, but then we headed up a little bit farther to St. Herman's Cave. Right behind the visitor center, there is an entrance to the hiking trail. It's a really flat, easy trail that goes about 20 minutes into the jungle to the entrance of the cave. We only had time to stop at the first of the 3 different cave openings. We went to the closest one. When you get to the entrance of the cave, there's a really nice staircase that goes down into the cave. Make sure that you have a good flashlight or preferably headlamps so that you can see where you're going once you get into the cave. But navigating is really easy. There are reflectors with some chain and some posts, and if you stay on the right side of the reflectors, then you'll have about a 5-minute walk back into the main room of the cave, which has some awesome cave formations. It's a quick and easy trip, and it's definitely worth checking it out. If you're traveling up the Hummingbird Highway, it's a great stop. So we just went down into St. Herman's Cave, and it was really cool. We had our headlamps, which was awesome. That really helped. And we were able to get some pictures and some video in there. It's neat. You just walk down. There's a rope and a path. You just have to kind of keep an eye on where you're walking because it's a little bit bumpy, but you can go all the way into this little pool area, and then you come out the other way and just follow the reflectors on the way back, so you can always kind of see. As long as you have a light, you can keep the reflectors on your right side and you know you're going in and out the right way. But it's very cool. We headed out of the jungle and got back onto the Hummingbird Highway to head up toward Belmopan, but we made one more stop at a roadside stand that had fresh chocolate. You could see how they dried out the pods and processed the chocolate. We got to try some bars and some chocolate ice cream. I think it was a very good stop after our walk in the jungle. This is a common sight in Belize.
Trash.
Burning your trash. There we go. Well, we've gotten to our second location in Belmopan, which was quite a bit out of the way and quite a bit different from our last location, as you can see. This room not only has hot water and a good working flushing toilet, we have air conditioning and a ceiling fan, and our towels are folded into cute little animals. Really comfy looking bed. And this very fancy bathroom. And there, real working toilet. And here is the best part, which I can't wait to get into. This, I guess it's like a steam shower. And it might have a built-in radio. So there is our new room. Once we had settled into the room and gotten some much needed hot showers, we got dressed and then walked down the hill toward the main part of the resort so we could kind of explore the amenities a little bit. And we went up to the balcony right outside the main dining room. We had most of our meals outside on this balcony, which has an awesome view of the valley and the river below. We spent a lot of time watching the hummingbirds coming over to the hummingbird feeder on the balcony. There were always about 4 or 5 of them flying around. And then we took a walk up to the other part of the resort where there's a walkway that goes up to some of the other guest rooms, which have a really beautiful view of the valley and the river. And then over on the other side of the resort, there was this pavilion with hammocks. And of course, we had to relax in the hammocks. We headed back up toward our room. Since the section that we were staying in was brand new, nobody had been swimming in the pool yet. So that night we decided that we were going to be the first 2 people to swim in the brand new pool. We went for a really nice night swim, and you can see the grout from finishing the tile was still kind of clouding the pool, but we figured it was worth taking a dip.
Good morning. It is, what time is it? Maybe close to 7. And this is our first morning at the Jungle Lodge. So we woke up to all sorts of crazy bird noises. We are heading into Belmopan. The plan for today is that we're going to go try and find the open air market in Belmopan, because today is Friday and that's their market day. And then explore the town a little bit. There's a park in town. We're going to go check that out. And then hopefully come back and do a little canoeing on the Belize River. So we'll see how the day goes. The road going back into Dream Valley is not quite as bad as the road going to the Jaguar Preserve, but it might be close.
Yeah, it's close.
It's definitely giving our rental car a run for its money.
Yeah.
I think we found it. Maybe. Looks busy. Alright.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Yeah.
Thank you. Holy sugar.
Is it? So we found the market and we got, what did we get? Pineapple juice?
Yeah, orange juice.
And
or no, coconut water.
Coconut water, apples, and grapes.
Bananas.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's really busy. There's all sorts of clothes, food, bread. The fresh juice is really awesome.
Yeah.
Again, I'd rather hear them.
What's that?
You know, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah? On the hat? We just came back from the Belizean market. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, all in all, it was super busy and kind of crazy at first, but I'm glad we checked it out.
Yeah.
It was a cool experience.
And we probably spent about 15 bucks, and probably a little bit more than we should. We didn't barter. We didn't know what the custom really was.
I'm not really sure what how that works.
Yeah.
A bag of bananas was what, like $2?
Yeah.
And then coconut water, pineapple juice. This was really good. A bag of apples. Oh, grapes.
I forgot about that.
A whole thing of grapes.
The grapes are awesome. Almost tastes like a smaller plum with a ton of water in it.
It's still hot.
Yeah.
I think it's cornbread. We're
Yeah.
not really sure. Just like cornbread, right?
Yeah, it's cornbread.
Yeah. After a really interesting lunch from all the stuff that we got at the Belize market, we headed down to the river to do some canoeing. We are heading upriver right now from the resort. We very precariously climbed down this rickety little ladder, and we got into the canoe without tipping it, so I think that was the victory of the day. And apparently there's some howler monkeys over here. We found the monkeys. We've been paddling for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And let's see if I can get him. He's stretching. Hello.
There's an alligator.
Where?
I'm playing.
We made it. Well, we're not at the dock yet. Alright. We successfully made it back. Yep, there we go.
Once we were safely back on dry land, we decided to head back up toward the main part of the resort. Right across from the front desk, there's a path that leads back to a butterfly enclosure. It's a large screened-in building, and you can come inside, and there's a few different varieties of butterflies flying around. You can see them at a few different stages in their development. It's a really nice addition to just being able to hang around the resort and do something different.
And butterflies are fast.
Crafty butterflies.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Oh, there they go.
Oh, that's different.
There's one on you.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Thank you. There is our hut with the sunrise right behind it. I'm going over to check out this little valley over here. There's a whole bunch of birds. There are two parrots in this tree right here. They're being really loud. And they're talking to some parrots over on the other side. Today we're heading back down to the cave that we got to explore the other day, but this time we're going to be going in with a tour company. And we're not exactly sure what we're doing, actually. We know it involves something with harnesses and helmets, and there's a waterfall somewhere, but we're not really exactly sure what we're going to be doing. We just decided to do the tour that our waiter had recommended. He said that it was really cool, so we'll see what happens. Very serious.
We have lots of extra headlamps, folks. So if you think that your light is going really low,
We were each given a helmet with a headlamp on it and a backpack to carry our climbing gear.
so the bugs that you see here, folks, those are the insect-eating bugs. Those are full-grown insect-eating bugs. So they're not babies. Yeah, it goes like a few yards inside, but it doesn't go really deep inside. Alright, so this way. Vamos.
Where is he?
In my lighted. On the other side of the rock.
Oh. Oh, holy cow. Oh. Oh my gosh, yeah, I don't like that. Yep.
So the skin formations are known as soda straws. They're hollow from inside like a straw.
As we headed farther back into the cave, one of the leaders found a cave spider, which is a really creepy looking creature, but it's totally blind and non-venomous, so some of the brave people in the group got to hold it and see what it felt like to have a cave spider walking on their hand. When we got into the main room of the cave, we took a break and then started to put on our climbing gear. We had to wear climbing harnesses and life jackets because the next section of the cave as we continued to head back had a lot more water. We were going to have to hike a little more and then do some swimming to get to the waterfalls that we were eventually going to be able to climb. This was where the trip started to get really interesting.
Oh.
When we got to the first waterfall, one of the guides had gone ahead and set up the ropes so that it would be ready to climb. We were given a little bit of guidance about which side to try to climb up and what rocks were good to hold on to, but it was surprisingly difficult to try to find places to put your feet and to get good handholds at the same time that the water from the waterfall was trying to push you and knock you away from the rocks. And even though you were harnessed in, so you know you couldn't actually fall, it was still a kind of scary process making your way all the way up to the top. Once everybody had successfully climbed up all 3 of the waterfalls, we took a couple minutes up at the top to rest because it was an exhausting process. And then we started the scarier process of jumping back down from the waterfalls. If you wanted to, you had the option to use the climbing gear to actually rappel down the rocks, but mostly everybody took the option to go out to the edge and jump off. But you had to be really careful because these pools that we were jumping into had a lot of rocks in them. So you had to watch the guide really carefully so they would show you where to jump, where it was safe, and then you had to make sure you hit that exact spot so that you didn't land on the rocks. So that part was a little bit challenging, but everybody made it, everybody was okay, and it was a really fun experience.
So we made it back from our cave exploration and jumping, and now we're doing something a little bit more tame. We found coffee. We're trying to warm up and dry off, and we're exploring this park that I can't remember the name of.
It's a national park.
It's a national park. What are you doing?
Trying to smile.
You look like a psycho. No, stop it.
This is how I look.
Is that your thoughtful look? We have this bird overlook, which is actually right behind the Belmopan police station. And over here, we learned today that this kind of cleared out path on the side right here that goes all the way down is from the leafcutter ants. They have like little highways that go through the woods, and you'll see them carrying their pieces of leaves right along there. And it's actually pretty long. It goes all the way down on this side too, right along there. I think if we go up there, it's the long trail.
Yeah.
We don't have time for the long trail. Well, I don't know if you can hear that, but the monkeys are really loud tonight. It's kind of a creepy sound. At first I thought one of our neighbors was snoring really loud, but it's the monkeys. This morning we decided to stay up on the deck by our room and have breakfast because we went to a deli yesterday and we got this really awesome loaf of freshly baked cinnamon raisin bread. And then we had bananas that we got at the Belmopan market and the peanut butter and jelly that we had from the grocery store in Hopkins. So we figured we would just stay here and try to eat all these great things that we have. This little bird here has been waking us up every morning. We call him the alarm clock bird. You're coordinated on that one. I don't know what that is.
It's a cow.
For our last full day in Belize, we headed all the way west toward the border of Guatemala to see some Mayan ruins. We are driving through San Ignacio on our way to the ruins that I can't pronounce. But this is, I think this is the biggest town we've been in so far.
It's like a city.
Yeah, whole city. Nope, traffic jam.
It literally is hand crank.
Yeah. They get an arm workout. There's just like cables that go across.
The hand crank ferry that takes you from the road across the river toward the ruins can actually carry vehicles. So you can bring your car with you if you want, but we decided to park the car on the side of the road and walk onto the ferry and then walk up toward the ruins. We also decided not to hire a tour guide. Although we heard they were pretty good, we didn't want to end up getting stuck with a whole bunch of tourists as we walked around.
Step inside, guys. Back. Hello. Let's go, guys. Let's go, guys.
So what?
It's on the tour.
Apparently.
We waited for a minute so that the big tour groups could pass us and head up toward the ruins. And then we started the mile-long walk uphill toward the ruins. It was a really nice walk. It's an easy paved road that goes by some really nice trees and wooded areas. We even saw a couple horses on the way. But we figured we would get our exercise since tomorrow we're going to be on a plane all day. When we got to the top, we stopped at the visitor center, which has a really great museum in it, which gives you some background information on the area. And then you had to go up a little bit more until you finally came to the main area of the ruins. There's some really big open grassy areas where you can walk around, and we were kind of hungry at this point, so we decided to walk over to the side and try to find somewhere that wasn't too crowded so that we can sit and enjoy some lunch. archaeological site covers a lot of ground. There are many different structures and pyramids on the property. But our favorite thing about this area was that you are actually allowed to climb up on a lot of the structures that you see. Any other ruins that I visited in the past, you could walk around and look, but you weren't allowed to climb on anything. So this gives a different perspective. We could actually go up on top of each of these pyramids and enjoy the view from the top.
There you go. What are you doing? Alright, we saved the biggest one for last. We're going up the top of the big pyramid. Lots of stairs. Keep going up.
This site has been going through archaeological excavation since the 1990s. On the back of the main temple, you can see this beautiful frieze that was restored recently with different depictions of natural things. This was about the point where we were heading up the back of the pyramid and the stairs started to get much narrower and steeper. At this point, there was only one handrail, and some of the stairs are very uneven and even a little crumbly. So I decided to put the camera down and focus on making sure that I made it to the top in one piece. We definitely noticed at a few points during our trip to Belize that the safety precautions taken at public places are a little bit different than what we're used to in the US. But it was totally worth it. When we got up to the top of the main pyramid, you were able to see for miles in every direction. You could see across the border from Belize out into Guatemala, where they have these rolling hills and little villages nestled into the valleys.
You can see how if you were the ruling family, you'd be like, yeah.
I'm doing stuff.
After enjoying the view from the top, we headed down the pyramid, and on the way we came across some rather large iguanas that were sunning themselves on the grass. We continued back down and headed into town to get back into our rental car and drive back to the resort. It was our last day at the resort, so we had to pack and get ready to get up pretty early for our flight. We wanted to enjoy the warm weather for just a couple more hours. We went down to the pavilion by the river Patrick spent some time relaxing in the hammock, and I got a little bit more outside yoga time in before we had to go back to the cold weather in New Jersey. The next morning, for some reason, neither of us were feeling very good, but we were able to pull it together long enough to drive to the airport and to get on the plane, but we were in for a very long and difficult trip home.
So it's our last day in Belize, well, our last couple hours really. We are headed back to the airport. We'll be there in about 25 minutes, and then we're heading back to Miami and then back to Philadelphia. So we're trying to soak in a little bit more of the warm weather before we head back. As we head back to the airport, it's kind of a different landscape over on this side of the country. It's a little bit more dry and not quite as lush as the jungle was when we were staying toward the western side of the country. Oh, and there's the bus. There's actually a lot of buses that will take you pretty much to all the major cities in Belize, which is really nice. So if you don't want to rent a car, it's not that hard to get from place to place as long as you're okay with riding the bus. It takes a little longer, but it's a good way to get around.